I'm Adam from Industry Tattoo Supply. I'm going to be presenting on tattoo supply today, some of the history, some of the regulations, what's going on in the world. Like tattoo, it's been going through a lot of change. So things are getting bigger, it's attracting regulators, it's attracting the attention of the media, it's attracting commercial investors, and this is having an impact, and I think it's something to talk about. So moving on to why even bother with suppliers? Honestly, there is a phenomenal amount of choices. It's never been easier to get tattoo supplies. There's a huge amount of options for people. Things are getting cheaper and cheaper. A lot of us look the same. I mean, the same bottle of dynamic ink, it's the same ink, right? So you can just hop on the web and order your supplies, not a problem. So why should you even really care who you're buying from? And I think that's something we need to think about and what we're going to talk about next. So we, over the last 3 years, have run a little survey with artists and said, what's important to you? Obviously, product quality has come up the top, which is great because you should care about the equipment that you use. If you're trying to get the best out of your art, then having the right equipment to do that is important. Price, less so, which is also good because, obviously we're all watching our dollars. You don't want to overpay, but the majority of artists said, if you can get me the right gear and you can get it to me safely and quickly, then I'm happy. Honestly, all of this stuff, I think, sets the minimum hurdle for any supplier to meet. They've got to be able to do this stuff to be eligible. And I think there's going to be a couple more things that I want you to think about as important from your suppliers. And the first one is insurance or legal protection. So APRA, which is the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, that's the authority that looks after insurance in Australia, has reported for the last, consistently for the last couple of years that the number and value of professional indemnity claims and product and public liability claims has been increasing, right? So are we being litigious, more litigious? I won't say that, but we have grown. Tattooing is bigger, it's more popular. It makes sense, therefore, that insurance claims do happen. Now, Australian consumer law deems, and this is very important, it deems that the importer of a product steps into the shoes of the manufacturer in Australia. So if I, as a distributor of dynamic ink, import a bottle of black ink, or if I import a power supply from Critical, I am then acting in Australia as if I am Critical or if I am dynamic. And that means if you're caught in an insurance situation or a problem, you're not having to chase some overseas giant company. You deal with the person that you bought it from in Australia, which makes it a lot easier, you can imagine, to deal with. And for that reason, suppliers maintain public and product liability insurance, and we get insured at the same place as you guys. We get insured by Gallagher. My company has a $10 million indemnity insurance cover that we have to pay annually. It costs an absolute fortune, just like your insurance, because we have the word tattoo associated with us. So we get covered. If you're buying, either importing direct from the manufacturer, which you probably aren't by now because of the import hassles that happen with that. If you get caught by, everyone's been caught by customs and GST, that economically it doesn't quite work out. But more importantly, if you are buying from a foreign source like Amazon, has overseas suppliers, or you're buying from Temu, then you don't know who you're dealing with, and you're sure as hell not going to be covered, or you're going to have someone that you can even talk to if you have a problem. So you want to have someone that is present here with you and knowing who your seller is. And make sure you're buying from Australians, or your locals, sorry, I should say, a local business. The next thing is what a supplier should be doing. Any supplier that loves tattooing will be obvious, right? Because they're going to be here. You have 4 supply companies, great companies that are here at the Sydney Tattoo Convention because they want to be, and we love talking to artists. They're going to be involved in your flash days, they're going to be buying your art, they're going to be getting tattooed, they're going to be involved with you, and they're also going to care that they don't allow supplies going out to kids and unlicensed backyarders. They're going to be protecting, anyone can buy off Amazon, there's no restriction there. So they will also be protecting the trade. That's your basics in terms of support. But I would also point out something around innovation. IBIS World, who is a statistics company around the world, valued the spend in the USA annually on tattoos last year was $1.6 billion. And that's just in the USA, which is like a staggering amount of money, right? And that's just the USA. So the consequence of that money is that we have attracted investors. There's nothing wrong with a business owner selling their business. Like most business life cycles are eventually going to involve an exit for that person if they don't have a family member or someone to pass it down to. There's nothing wrong with a business buying another business. That's great, that's basic economics. I think where the danger is when you have a professional investor making these investments, then their motivation, or at least their top priority, is going to be about making profit and making money. And therefore their decisions are going to be, what can I do to make the most amount of money out of this? Not necessarily what is the new equipment or what is the best equipment and the best quality that I can do that artists need, or what are the new developments or problems I can solve. Right now, it's only an artist-made product that is really going to do that. And so it's very important that suppliers are making room in their portfolio for artist-made and new products. Because if you didn't know, there are two large groups that have come into tattoo. They are the Body Art Alliance, which last year was reported to be going through a sale process, and Reuters said their valuation was $1 billion USA that they were trying to sell themselves for. And Nexus Brands is the other. They collectively own the majority of the large tattoo brands. And this is not to say anything bad about those brands, but they own Tatsol, Eternal Ink, FK Irons, Bishop, Critical, Inkeys, World Famous, Eternal Ink, a whole bunch of brands. So what I am calling this out is make you aware that investment groups in our products are significant and are covering a large portion of what we do. Now we buy a lot of these products and love them, but we also know that you need to make room for independent products as well. So that's a little bit about what we talk when we talk about innovation and artist support. And the other element is advice and support. So everything is becoming more convenient, right? Everything's click and connect and disposable and instant. And as a result, people are using rotaries versus coils. Coil users, I don't know what percentage they are, but it is reducing. And Shane Enome, who's if you don't know him, he's a character, has said in his books Machine Discourse, and I've got them here actually, and anyone that's interested in some machine history, they're fantastic books to read. But he said the more efficient our lives get, the dumber we get. And I don't think he's trying to, knowing Shane, he probably is trying to hassle us, but really what he's saying is, we are losing that technical knowledge and those hands-on skills, right? I busted a tyre in my car last year. I didn't get down on my hands and knees and try and remove I have one of those cars with the wheels underneath the base of the chassis, and you've got to do this ridiculous thing to get it. I didn't need to. I had a number that I called, and a dude came out in 15 minutes and changed my tyre for me, and I was good to go. So yeah, I felt a bit stupid because I wasn't able to change a tyre or didn't want to myself. But why would I not do that? And that's probably an attitude that we are getting more in our own trade here. A lot of you might be saying, no, that's not me, don't be silly. I know how to sort out my machine, I know how to solder a needle even. I'm not necessarily talking about you or tattooists today, I'm talking about the generations that are coming through, and they are coming through in that world. It's perfectly natural. And so it is important that because they may not have those technical knowledges, there's an expectation they're going to be able to get that help from someone else, right? So one of those sources is going to be your supplier, or should be. So you should have a trusted relationship. If you've got a problem, if you've got a question, if you've got guidance, then you want to have a supplier that is present there to answer or address those questions. If they're not present, if they're not there to answer your questions, if they're not responsive or don't really want to, that's the wrong person to be buying from.